Hey, this is the third vlog. My name is Connor, and I'm going to hit y'all with something that I was thinking about a little bit. I don't think that Walmart has had nearly as bad of an impact as people have, as people say it has had on local economies. I was running the numbers a little bit. Now, I'm not an expert, and I'm not an economist. However, I was running the numbers, and really, Walmart has done more for putting money into local economies than I think it has taken out. Its wages were low when the minimum wages were lower. Currently, in the state of Oklahoma, the average Walmart associate wage is about $18 an hour. Now they work for an average of 36 to 40 hours a week. That's not including part-time associates, and that works out to roughly think 33,000 for 36 hours a week and about 37,000 a year for working 40 hours a week and stuff that's taken out. But taxes aren't necessarily a bad thing because the money ends up trickling back into the local economy either through whatever with infrastructure spending or local like state income taxes and stuff like that go for state programs that help out communities. But the average Walmart employs about 100 to 300 people. So if we're going off of just the 100 people amount for maybe a small Walmart supercenter, and I'm going to use Medill, Oklahoma as an example. So that is putting about 3.3 to 3.7 million dollars into the hands of local people that ends up getting spent probably at Walmart, but also in the local economy and on various other things. So the money's going into the community that might not have gone back into the hands of people within the community had small businesses remained in business inside of the local area. So let's say the Walmart puts 10 to 20 small businesses out of business, and let's say that they're averaging $100,000 in profit. That's a very what's the word for it? That's a very generous estimate. That is still only about $1 to $2 million put into the community in the hands of 10 to 20 families in the local community. So the economic impact of the money going back into the community in the form of wages is a lot higher than continuing to have the small businesses exist. Now, the small businesses might have employed people, but they're the ones that are most commonly employing people at as close to minimum wage as they possibly can. So, because the minimum wage has to be low because it's good for small businesses, that whole justification, uh, the money's not really trickling back into the community through small businesses, I think. So, I mean, that's just something that I was thinking about. I think that Walmart has done more for bringing the availability of goods to people. It's made a lot of stuff widely available, and three-fourths of what they sell were made in China, which, as we all know, we shouldn't be criticizing because China, frankly, is a Marxist-Leninist workers' utopia, and it's a BRICS country that is opposed to America because, of course, America is bad. So, what's the problem with spending money on things that are made in China? Exactly. Additionally, it's a thing that it's allowed bulk pricing, and it's developed such a such a massive share of the market that it's opened up the availability of bulk pricing to the average American consumer that they wouldn't have had available through dollar stores or through like five and dime stores historically. So dollar stores like Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar often open up inside it. They open up in food deserts, and they basically try to rob the local community of money for the sake of getting extra margin on things. The Dollar General is more notorious because they're the biggest player in this game, but they happen to have very high margins on everything they sell. And you say, how could how could they be making so much money off of the prices that they sell everything for? Because every single thing has a markup. They're buying it for super cheap because they're using their scale of their business to acquire things very cheaply. They shrink the package sizes and they shrink the unit count of things that they sell inside of their store, and then they round it up to the closest dollar amount for however cheap they happen to be able to sell whatever it is for. So they have even higher profit margins than stores like Walmart and Target. And they happen to have a business model that is, we're going to open a store in the middle of nowhere. We're going to employ 2 people or 3 people. There's going to be a manager and 2 store associates, and we're going to expect them to do everything with moving inventory out, receiving goods in the store, moving it out to the floor, and also checking people out. What they've created is a situation where their total economic impact is maybe underpaying 3 people to work inside of a Dollar General. So that's the reason why they can open up a store in Aspalls nowhere in Aspalls, Arkansas, and somehow manage to turn a profit, is because they have massive markups for the unit cost for what they're individually selling. And people are like, oh well, who cares? I could buy a pack of 8 Tide Pods for $3. That seems like a good deal. Numerically, they're thinking about the dollar amount. They're thinking about the cost. They're not thinking about the unit cost, which is literally, I don't have my calculator in front of me, but let's go ahead and do an example. So they're selling an 8-pack of Tide Pods for $3. That works out to, let's see, 3 divided by 8. That works out to 37 cents per Tide Pod. Now, let me just double check my math because I could be wrong on this. All right, let's go ahead and use our good friend Google. Dollar General Tide Pods. So let's take a look at what the prices are. Dollar General, a package of, oh boy, I'm seeing this on the internet now. These are probably local prices, but they're selling a package of Tide Pods for $5 even. What a great deal. Don't you think that that would be a great deal? Now let's see what the unit count is inside of this. Sorry, I have a slow internet connection. Let's go ahead and take a gander at this. And it's not loading the page because I'm doing it on the internet, and I have Dollar General Tide Pods. There we go. All right, dollargeneral.com. Let's see what the mobile website loads. Here we go. $5. It is a total 9 extra large Tide Pod packs. There we go. So you get 9 for $5. That works out to, instead of the 37-cent thing, you get 5 divided by 9. That's 55 cents per Tide Pod. Now let's go ahead and check Walmart. Walmart. Walmart Tide Pods. Let's go ahead and see. Oh boy. Okay. Tide Pods Original Scent. HE High Efficiency Turbo Liquid Detergent Packs. They're selling a 42 pack for approximately $12.97. So $12.97 divided by, and I said 42, right? Yep, 42. That works out to 30 cents per Tide Pod. So Dollar General is making 55 cents per Tide Pod that they're selling. That's not all profit, but given their low overhead costs with underpaying employees and basically buying garbage land, frankly cursed and haunted land to open up stores on, they're getting 55 cents per Tide Pod that they're selling. Whereas Walmart, even though you have to spend the $12.97 in order to buy the big container of Tide Pods, you're getting each of those Tide Pods for about 30 cents per Tide Pod. Same exact product. They do this, and their business model is to move to the middle of nowhere where there will be no competition. It is easier mentally to consider, well, I can drive 5 minutes to Dollar General, or I can go 30 minutes to Walmart, and I got to prioritize my time. People end up paying on that, and it takes more out of the immediate area immediately surrounding a dollar store. So Walmart has is pretty good for increasing the availability of consumer goods to a larger number of people and giving people more access to the sort of bulk prices that allow them to get a better deal on the goods that they buy. It's putting money back into the economy for paying relatively well. I mean, I would say $18 an hour is a living wage in the state that I'm in. I don't know what it's like in other states. I don't know if Walmart has higher wages in other states or not. But frankly, in Oklahoma and in Arkansas, Walmart's home, basically ground zero of Walmart, that's a pretty good wage. You are able to get by. You are able to pay rent in your immediate area and have rent be roughly for a one bedroom apartment, approximately a quarter of your total wages that you earn back. Now, have these companies been criticized for employees having to overly rely on social services or like things like Medicaid and other programs like that? Yes, but we're also not factoring in the number of part-time employees. So for the amount of hours that these employees are working, they're still getting a pretty decent wage for the amount of hours that they work. But there's plenty of people that, because of the loss of these benefits, aren't willing to work anymore and are willing to work just enough to be able to get some extra money coming in, but still be able to qualify for various social programs and welfare programs. Economists refer to this as a welfare trap. It creates a situation where people are disincentivized from working harder and working and being able to support themselves better at the risk because they risk losing the certain dollar amount of benefits that they'd be able to get through state programs. Now that this leads to another topic. I think that welfare should be universal. I think that it should gradually peter out so that people aren't losing the full impact of whatever benefits they happen to have been receiving. I think that it should eventually peter out and stop at a certain point at a certain income, but I think that it should be relative to the income that is gained. I think that we have the technology to be able to better account for income changes and wages and other things like that so that benefits can just be automatically adjusted. But the problem is that a lot of these welfare programs and social services are still being run like it's the 1970s. And they're still running with a lot of bureaucrats sitting there having to make decisions and forms that have to be filled out and things that have to be submitted over, and then they have to go by postal mail over to some headquarters or some office that's in like Baltimore, Maryland. I'm using Social Security as an example. There's several central offices that these papers have to go back to, and then you have to wait a period of time before anything gets changed. And in that time period, they could come up with a determination and turn around and just be like, "Well, this is what our administration happens to say you have to do." There's problems our with our welfare system that could easily be streamlined by the advancement of technology, by the technology that exists now. I mean, if we could streamline and make welfare decisions and also welfare, like the provision of welfare and services and other things, if we could streamline that, it would better impact poorer communities than continuing to maintain these physical offices where they just expect you, where there's long wait times in order to have your case be seen before some government bureaucrat. Frankly, I think that there's a lot of stuff that could be changed with that. And I don't know how I got to welfare from that, but there's certain situations where part-time work seems to make more sense because people are happen to qualify for social services. And if they work extra, that's extra effort on their part. And if they have to work extra and lose the economic benefits of welfare programs and stuff like that, then it makes rational economic sense to just simply do part-time employment. So people insult companies like Amazon or companies like Walmart and stuff, but they've done more for increasing the wages of their individual employees. Now, I have never worked at Walmart, but from my understanding, they're one of the largest employers in the United States. They're one of the largest providers of access to 401ks for a lot of people, and they do the company match because they're always having profitable quarters. They're always doing the match for whatever employees happen to contribute to their 401k plan. They have an ESPP, which gives Walmart employees the opportunity to purchase Walmart stock at a discount. If I remember correctly, it's supposed to be a 20% discount over the market rate. So that means that you're getting a good deal on a very strong blue chip S&P 500 stock. And that's a good thing. I would say that that's a good thing for people. It's basically stock options, but for a bagger or for a greeter instead of just stock options to executives and CEOs. I think that's a good situation. And in addition to that, they also offer healthcare services, which allows state Medicaid programs to not be as burdened by lower wage people. They're able to have access to healthcare through their employer. And Walmart is also I would say Walmart's pretty progressive in their social policies and their hiring practices. I would say that your sexual orientation or your race will never factor into whether or not you get a job at Walmart or whether or not you get promoted at Walmart. I think they do an excellent job of looking past those characteristics and hiring and promoting based on merit of an individual. And I think that's a positive thing for any company to do. And they also they contribute money to charities, and the Walton family contributes a lot of money to various cultural institutions and stuff, which enrich the lives of various people. But in addition to that, Walmart also has a program that's called, I think it's Live Better You, where they basically pay for you to go take online classes to get a degree. And the goal is to allow people to educate themselves to train up into higher positions within the Walmart like organization, which gives them access to a chance to get higher wages, but they aren't bound by contract working for Walmart. You could easily get a bachelor's degree or become an HVAC technician and go out and do your own thing or go be employed in the community at another business. And I think that definitely increases the amount of opportunity that's available inside of rural areas and definitely underserved areas. There's plenty of places where there's people that wouldn't have even dreamed of getting a college degree or going to college. And now they're having access to programs that if they have a computer, they have a dial up or DSL internet connection, they can go ahead and complete online degrees. I think that's a positive thing. So, yeah, that's just what I was thinking about. I think that Walmart does more good than it does bad. And yeah, that's all I got to talk about today. Talk to you later. Bye.